I'm Rolene Marks, and before we head off into the weekend, let's take a look at those top stories making headlines from Israel right here on the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. And we begin with a story that we've been following since it took place on Saturday, and that is updates on the situation that led to the hostage-taking in Bennett synagogue of Rabbi Citron Walker and 3 of his congregants by British terrorist Malik Akram. Earlier today, British authorities confirmed they had arrested another 2 men in connection with the hostage-taking, 1 man from Birmingham and 1 man from Manchester, who have yet to be identified, and we have yet to understand what links they have to Malik Akram. Meanwhile, the Jewish Chronicle, a London-based newspaper, has obtained exclusively the final conversation and the audio of that took place between Akram and his brother. In the very chilling audio, Akram describes how he wants to be a martyr and how he has prayed for 2 years for the opportunity to launch an attack. In expletive-laden language, he also threatens Americans as well as Jews, saying, "You come to our countries and you rape our women and you kill us. Don't be surprised if we will come to you and commit attacks." And he says he hopes that he has opened the door for many to follow with terror attacks. His brother does implore him that he's holding innocent people hostage, but he makes his intentions quite clear and says he wants to go out as a martyr. In other news, Russian President Vladimir Putin is reported to have turned down an offer by Prime Minister Bennett to mediate between him and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Apparently, when it was made public that Prime Minister Bennett would be going to Russia to meet with Putin, and this was in October of last year, Kiev reached out to Jerusalem suggesting maybe the Prime Minister could mediate. The Prime Minister approached the President of Russia and also suggested a summit maybe in Jerusalem because Israel enjoys good relations with both Russia and the Ukraine. However, when President Putin declined and showed his disinterest, the topic was then dropped. Today, Israel is hoping that the United Nations General Assembly will unanimously adopt a resolution that condemns Holocaust denial, distortion, and revision. It is hoped that this will be passed unanimously and that all social media companies and nation states will adopt this. We have seen a staggering increase in the amount of online anti-Semitism, and especially with the background of the coronavirus pandemic, we have seen comparisons to the Holocaust, as well as a lot of Holocaust denial. The day today is very, very significant because we mark 80 years since the Wannsee conference, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But we are also a week before International Holocaust Remembrance Day, which takes place every January 27th and is a day designated by the United Nations to remember the Holocaust and to educate. Addressing the UN, Gilad Erdan, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, also accused member states of ignoring Palestinian violence against Israelis, saying that countries at the United Nations whitewash and ignore terror attacks as well as incitement of hatred against Israelis and against Jews. And he also cited the rock throwing which takes place on a daily basis, sometimes with very, very dire consequences. Now, as I just mentioned, today marks 80 years since the Wannsee conference. This was a conference that took place in the villa of Wannsee just outside Berlin, which saw the upper echelons of the Nazi party gather together to discuss the final solution against Europe's Jews. In fact, they called it the final solution to the Jewish problem. And make no mistake, these were some of the finest scientists, legal minds, military minds that gathered here. This was not carried out by people who were uneducated and did not know what they were doing. As a result of this conference, the final solution was then put into place, and a network of extermination camps, including Auschwitz, was set up across Europe. By the end of the war in 1945, over 6 million Jews had been brutally exterminated, either through shootings, starvation, being worked to death, extermination camps, and other torturous and brutal methods. So those are the top stories making headlines as we head into the weekend. Don't forget, if you're looking for good original content, you can check out our website at layoftheland.online. That's layoftheland.online. We have an article about a fascinating discussion between a Bangladeshi and a South African. You can check it out online. It's also up on our Facebook page, and our community is growing thanks to you. So if you haven't already given us a like or follow or shared our content, please do so. We really want to grow our outreach. We've noticed our YouTube channel at the Israel Brief is also growing. So please do us a solid and click on that red subscribe button. It really helps us extend our outreach to as many people as possible. And if you're on Twitter, you can follow us at Lay of the Land with the digit 5. I'm Rolene Marks, and from all of us here to all of you there, wherever you may be, we wish you a wonderful, a peaceful, a safe and healthy weekend. Shabbat Shalom, and don't forget to join me next week, Monday to Thursday, for your top stories from Israel right here on the Israel Brief.